The Tolkien Heresy, The Lie of Melian the Maia. The Lie in the Ledger.
Greetings, seekers of lost tales. Come, sit by the fire. The dust in this library is thick, but the truths buried within are thicker still. Today, we pull on a thread that may unravel the very tapestry of history as you know it. We are taught that the chronicles of the First Age are sacred, that they are the unvarnished truth. I have spent centuries among these scrolls, and I tell you now, they are not. They are a narrative, carefully curated by the victors. And today we shall speak of one of their greatest victims, a being of immense power, whose true story was reduced to a footnote in a tragedy. Her name was Melian. The books, in their tidy script, label her a Maia, a servant of the Valar. They speak of her love for the elf king Thingol, her protection of Doriath, and her eventual sorrowful return to the West. This is the lie, the comfortable, palatable lie. What if I told you that Melian was no servant? What if she was, in fact, the first true sovereign of Middle-earth, a rival power to the Valar themselves, and her greatest sin was not loving an elf, but proving that a paradise could be built in Middle-earth without their permission? Tonight, we do not merely recount a legend, we exhume it. We will reveal the true meaning of the Girdle of Melian, uncover the forced abdication masked as a return, and see how her legacy became the secret weapon that saved Middle-earth in an age when the Valar had all but turned their backs. So, lean in close. What you are about to hear is a heresy. But heresy, my friends, is often the last refuge of the truth.
The disobedient primordial.
To understand Melian, we must first unlearn everything we know about the order of things. The Valar rule from the west. Melkor seeks to dominate and destroy. But Melian simply was. Consider the others, the Istari, myself included. We were sent. We had a mission, a purpose handed down from on high. The Balrogs, they were fugitives, rebels who fled the wrath of the West. But Melian, she was not sent. She did not flee. She arrived, alone, unbidden, an act of pure, unadulterated autonomy. Now consider the other ancient and independent powers. Ungoliant, the devourer of light, a being of pure void and hunger. Shelob, her daughter, a creature of gluttonous indifference. They are what we might call primordial powers, forces of the world that existed outside the hierarchy of Valar and Maia. Melian was of the same stock, the same primordial clay, but where Ungoliant's essence twisted toward consumption and nothingness, Melian's turned toward light, order, and compassion. She was the spirit of the world, not as a master, but as a guardian, She was Middle-earth's own immune system, given form and consciousness. And her first act of defiance was a quiet one. While the Valar planned the great journey, intending to bring all the elves to the gilded cage of Aman, Melian was already there, in the twilight of Middle-earth, walking among the awakening Quendi. She didn't guide them west, she enchanted them. She showed them that wonder and majesty were not solely the property of the undying lands. They were here, in the forests, in the starlight, in her. She was not gathering followers. She was building a constituency. And this, I propose, was her first and most profound rebellion.
A kingdom of one's own, the girdle of sovereignty.
Then came the meeting that would echo through the ages. Not a chance encounter, but a confluence of power. Ilu Thingol, the tallest and most majestic of the elven kings, and Melian, the sovereign without a throne. The songs call it love at first sight, a romance for the ages. And perhaps it was, but do not for a second believe it was only that. This was a merger, a strategic alliance of unparalleled genius. Thingol possessed the title, the army, the legitimacy of lineage. Melian possessed something far greater, an authority older than the Valar themselves. Together, they did not merely found a kingdom, they founded a new paradigm. Doriath was not just another elven realm. It was a statement. It was lush, protected, and glorious. It was, in every way, an echo of Valinor, but built in the heart of Middle-earth. It was a living, breathing argument against the necessity of the undying lands. And at the heart of its defense was not a wall, nor an army, but the girdle of Melian. Now, listen to me, for this is crucial. The chroniclers call it an enchantment, a spell of concealment. This is a diminishment, a way to make it seem like a mere magical trick. It was no such thing. The girdle was a physical manifestation of Melian's sovereign will. It was the border of her jurisdiction, etched into the very fabric of reality. With it, she did not merely hide Doriath. She declared to the Valar, "This land is mine. Your authority ends here. This is my kingdom." Think on that. While the Valar hid behind the Pelori Mountains, she built her own Aman, without their leave, their blessing, or their consent. Doriath was a splinter of paradise, and its existence was a constant, silent accusation against the Valar's policy of isolation. It was proof that their children could thrive without being coddled in their direct sight. It was, in short, an embarrassment.
The children of a new age, the ultimate transgression.
And then came the masterpiece of her design, Lúthien Tinuviel. Her story is sung as the greatest love story of the elder days, and so it is. But it is also something more, something far more radical. Lúthien was not merely the beautiful daughter of a king and queen. She was the living, breathing proof of concept for Melian's entire experiment. She was a hybrid, a fusion of the primordial spirit of the world and the incarnate soul of an elf. She possessed a power that was entirely new, a magic that could charm Morgoth himself, and a grace that could move the stones of Mondos. She was the next step in the evolution of life in Arda, and the Valar had expressly forbidden this. Have you ever wondered why the union of Maia and Elf was so rare, so fraught? It is spoken of as a tragedy waiting to happen. But I ask you, tragedy for whom? For the lovers? Or for the powers that be who feared the creation of something they could not control? Melian did not just break a taboo, she shattered a fundamental law of their control. She created a new lineage of beings who were inherently of Riddle Earth, yet wielded a power that rivaled the Ainur. In Lúthien, the sovereignty of Doriath was made flesh and blood, and that was a transgression the Valar could not and would not abide.
The Fall and the Doctrine of the Orphan Doriath.
The fall of Doriath, we are told, began with the Silmaril, the greed of the dwarves, the curse of the Noldor, a series of unfortunate events. Do not be deceived. The death of Thingol was not a random tragedy. It was the inevitable consequence of a system that could not tolerate a competitor. The Valar did not need to send an army. They merely had to step back. They allowed the chaotic, venomous elements of the world they had failed to control, the greed, the oaths, the curses, to flow into the one place that had declared itself free of that chaos. They created a vacuum, and nature, or rather the fallen nature of Middle-earth, abhors a vacuum. Doriath was not conquered, it was surgically dismantled by the very darkness the Valar were supposed to be guarding against. And then came the final act, Melian's return to Valinor. The chronicles would have you see a grieving widow, her heart broken, choosing to leave the world of her sorrow, a poetic and passive end. I see a deposition. She did not return. She was summoned. She was placed under what I can only describe as a form of divine house arrest. She was isolated in the gardens of Lórien, not as an honored guest, but as a stabilized, neutralized asset. They offered her healing, which in their tongue meant the erasure of her love for Thingol and her commitment to Middle-earth. They tried to force her to renounce her very nature. And to cement their victory, they enacted what I have come to call the doctrine of the orphaned Doriath. This was not a written law, but a narrative framework carefully woven into the histories by the scribes of the West. It had 3 core tenets designed to forever distort the truth of what happened. First, the principle of dependency. The kingdom fell because its king sinned through pride. The message, self-reliance leads to sin. True safety lies only in obedience to the higher powers. Second, the principle of the unnatural alliance. The love of a Maia and an elf was beautiful, but doomed. The message, mixing the established orders is against nature. It was not a glorious revolution, but a beautiful mistake. And third, the principle of the erased sovereign. The message, her will was irrelevant. She was a passive victim of emotion, not an active player who had to be neutralized. This doctrine, my friends, is the poison in the heart of every chronicle you have ever read.
It is why, for millennia, you have thought of Melian as a secondary character in a tragic romance, and not as the revolutionary founder of the first independent state in Middle-earth.
The legacy hidden in blood, the final victory.
The Valar believed they had won. They had dissolved the kingdom and imprisoned the queen. They had written the history. But they had made a fatal miscalculation. Melian's true kingdom was not made of stone and timber. It was made of blood. Her power, transmitted through Lúthien, through Elwë, through the long tangled line of the half-elven, became a genetic code for resistance. It was a legacy of sovereignty passed down through the generations. It was the fire in the heart of Beren, the wisdom of Elrond, and the unshakable will of Aragorn. When Aragorn, son of Arathorn, the heir of Elendil and the scion of Lúthien, reclaimed the throne of Gondor, he did something the Valar had never managed to do. He united the free peoples of Middle-earth. He did not do it by force of arms alone, but by the strength of his lineage, a lineage steeped in the legacy of Melian's will. She did not lose. Her experiment was merely delayed. For 6,000 years it lay dormant, a seed in the cold earth, and in the Fourth Age it finally, triumphantly bloomed, her vision of a sovereign, unified Middle-earth, free from the shadow of both dark lords and distant gods, was realized in the reign of King Elessar. The Valar had turned their backs, but the spirit of the world itself, which she embodied, had endured and had, in the end, prevailed.
And so we reach the end of this particular scroll. But, as always, the true conversation begins only after the book is closed. I must offer you my most sincere gratitude, my dear listeners, for lending me your ears and your minds on this journey into the most hidden of archives. Your curiosity is the candle that lights these dusty halls. Now the quill passes to you. I have laid out my evidence, my heresy against the official record. But what do you think? Was Melian a tragic queen, or was she the sovereign spirit I believe her to be? What fate do you think truly befell her after the fall of Doriath? The comments below are now our shared parchment, and I am eager to read your own theories and reflections. If this foray into the shadows of history has intrigued you, if you wish to help this library uncover more forgotten truths, then I have a small request. Please show your support by lending your voice to this archive. Subscribe to the channel, and if you feel so inclined, bestow a like upon this chapter. Every such gesture is a new candle lit against the gloom. And fear not, our exploration of Middle-earth's deepest secrets is far from over. I invite you to return to this fireside for our next tale. I cannot yet speak its name, but I can promise you this: we will delve into another mystery that the chronicles have left tantalizingly unresolved, a puzzle that lies at the very heart of the oldest powers in Arda. Until then, I remain your humble librarian. Keep questioning the stories you are told.
For as we have learned, even the silences between the words have a voice, if only we dare to listen.